And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the DoDcast Postgame Show, hosted by me, co-editor Ricky Keeler. Nationals finish off the sweep of the Mets with a 6-3 win at Citi Field tonight. If you're watching on Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN, thank you for tuning in with us. I have a special guest tonight. We promised not to gloat so much because he's here, because we're happy he's here. One of the co-editors from Rising Apple. If you recognize his face, he was with us for the Mets preview last month, and he's back here tonight. Teran is here. JT, how you doing?
Been better. That's all I can say.
I could imagine. Met fans I know that shall be nameless unless it's inside baseball are not happy either. So I understand that. But if you want to get involved, Nats fans or Met fans, you can get involved on this show as well. You can send us a question in the chat room on the YouTube page. You can also tweet me on Twitter at Rickinator555 or tweet the site at District on Deck. So JT, before we go into specific points, your overall thoughts on tonight's ball game?
So strictly from a Mets fan point of view, I don't think it was that bad of a game in terms of just what Zach Wheeler was able to do. I think he showed a lot of guts being able to stick it out after a really rough first inning. We were talking on Twitter earlier, and it wasn't really that bad of a first inning. You had that hit by pitch, which barely grazed Adam Eaton, and then a bloop, and then a single, and then all of a sudden, Murphy actually made really good contact on that grand slam. It was a pretty good pitch, but Murphy is Murphy, as we know, so he absolutely covered that ball. And after that, Wheeler was just able to keep the guys in the game, and there were certain parts where it looked like the offense may generate something, but that bottom of the order right now is just absolutely atrocious with Lagares, Plawecki. It's outs, automatic outs. You could even extend the Teran as 2 in a 6 hole. It's just automatic outs in a row, and the same theme that has just been happening. It happened with the Phillies, it happened with the Marlins, and it happened this weekend again with the Nationals. It's just the inability to manufacture runs and to be able to score more than 2 or 3 runs in a game. It showed its ugly head again, and when you're playing a team like the Nationals, who are just absolutely clobbering the ball, you can't expect to win a game like that.
Yeah, I think that JT, that's the big story of this series. I think if you're a Nationals fan, you're excited about getting the sweep, but I think you have to look at it also. These games are important for the Nats because the Mets are not going to be this bad the rest of the way. Their lineup is filled with injuries. Cespedes barely even had the opportunity to get in the on-deck circle this week to pinch hit. Cabrera's trying to play through a hamstring. d'Arnaud can't throw, but you ask any Met fan, you probably would say he can't throw anyway, but he can't throw anyway.
Exactly, yeah.
But he can't defend. Jay Bruce is playing first. So it's not exactly the ideal situation the Mets wanted to be in. Now, they don't have, outside of Duda and Flores with the crazy infection, they are still relatively okay as long as Cespedes is back Tuesday and that hamstring doesn't flare up.
Yeah, and you even saw it in the first inning. As Dribble Cabrera, he's been banged up. He had, an issue going back to the ball. Even the trainers came out. He decided to stay in the game, and it seemed like he was fine enough for the rest of the game. But this is another guy who's had, he missed a game earlier this week because of the hamstring issue. So it feels like everybody has been banged up at some point in time with one thing or another. So, but yeah, like you said, they thankfully have had a little bit of depth, but right now every single area is just being completely and totally exposed. And when you play a team like the Nationals that doesn't forgive those mistakes, that's what's going to happen.
You take over that first inning, and it ultimately was different in this ball game. You had the hit by a pitch, which is, I guess Greg Gibson thought it hit something, but that was a tough one. Trey Turner gets the hit, which Cabrera makes a great play on just to even make that close. Harper gets the base hit. And then, of course, Murphy had to find a way to do something this weekend. It just was a matter of if, matter than when, because he had all those crazy moments where SI caught him looking around in the on-deck circle, wondering the heck where he was.
That was kind of funny, actually.
He was screwing up in the field. He was screwing up on the bases, trying to play dance around with Rene Rivera Saturday. And then he finally got a good pitch to hit. But after that first inning, I was at Zach Wheeler's start on Tuesday against the Phillies. And I'll tell you, that was a complete 180 from the Wheeler I saw Tuesday tonight. Because 5 innings, it took him so long to throw 20 pitches an inning against the Phillies. And tonight, he's just breezing through, throwing 97. You can maybe say the Nats are just trying to get the heck out of there because they got to go to Colorado tonight. But regardless of what you want to say, I think Wheeler gave one hit in the last after the third inning. That's the Zach Wheeler everybody was hoping for before the Tommy John surgery.
Definitely. And I mean, you got to try to find some type of silver lining in this whole ordeal. That's probably been the biggest one. I remember when I got on the last podcast with you guys, we talked about what to look forward to. And one of the things I mentioned was the health of the starting rotation. And if they could stay healthy, the guys would be able to pull through and win some games. The health of the starting rotation has actually been totally fine. These guys have actually been able to, the guys that are here, obviously, you have Matz, who's had his issues, Seth Lugo's had his issues, but from the actual starting five, these guys have been able to actually stay on the mound, make their starts, and pitch the way we had at least hoped. They've had their rough patches, but again, Harvey has been able to do it, DeGrom has been able to do it, to just keep the team in the game. And I think it was a really, really strong showing for Zach Wheeler mentally to just be able to, after having that really, it's about as bad as you can have a first inning, and to then come back and bounce back like that. So a small silver lining for Mets fans, at least in that sense.
And he even had a double on Friday in pinch hitting. So
right.
All in all, a great weekend for Zach Wheeler. And I would argue a good weekend for the Mets pitching staff. I know Jacob deGrom had, 6 walks yesterday. But for a time,
he walked the entire ballpark, yeah.
Yeah, for a time though, he was looking absolutely dominant in that game. It was untouchable for 3 innings. You got Matt Harvey throwing almost 110 pitches Friday night when he had thrown no more than 92. Wheeler's throwing over 100. You're starting to get the sense. I don't know, JT. Maybe it's because the bullpen has been used so much, but now after the whole controversy last Saturday with deGrom in Miami, you're starting to see Terry use those pitchers more and more, which is something he's going to have to do because they've used Salas and Robles and all these guys so much. Eventually you're going to have to let your horses go at 95, 100, 105 pitches at some point.
That's exactly right, because you get to a point that I understand what the thought process for the organization is. You don't want to overextend. A couple of these guys are coming back from different surgeries, so you don't want to get them burned out early in the season. But at the same time, these guys are athletes and they are willing to take the ball. And now we've seen early in the season already the bad side of trying to treat these guys with kid gloves, as the SNY broadcast team has mentioned so many times, because like you said, it does wear out the bullpen. Obviously you had that game in Miami, the 16-inning game, where it was just absolutely terrible. But other than that, 5 innings is not good enough to be able to have a consistent bullpen that can just flow and have good enough, fresh enough guys in there. And hopefully this whole, at least get 7 innings out of every starter. That would be incredible if they can keep going. Obviously you're going to have your ups and downs, but that should be almost like the standard going forward for these guys. These guys are all extremely competitive and they're extremely fit enough to be able to do this. So it was definitely a good sign over the weekend for sure.
Now the Nats had the 4-0 lead. You're thinking Max Scherzer on the mound, no problem. This game has the chance to be pretty much, not, I wouldn't say over, but Nats feeling comfortable. But Michael Conforto, for the second time in 3 nights, hits a solo shot to lead off the game. You had Neil Walker go deep in the third. And at that point, JT, you got to be thinking Scherzer's giving up home runs. We're used to seeing Max Scherzer give up home runs. 2 in the first. He hadn't given up a home run all season until tonight, which is kind of surprising considering where Scherzer locates his fastball usually. But I think the main story for the Mets this weekend is Michael Conforto. And I tweeted on Friday that half of your Twitter following favored it. I think sent it to Sandy Alderson or something, that Michael Conforto's got to play. He's making great plays defensively. He's swinging the good bat in the leadoff spot. I don't even care even when Cespedes comes back, he's got to play.
Yeah, he has to. It's part of you are unintentionally part of the free Conforto movement, as they call it, because it's true and everybody else can see it. And it's just one of those things that Terry Collins has an extreme reverence for his veterans. And if it wasn't right now for Lucas Duda's injury and Cespedes being out too, you would be back to seeing Michael Conforto on the bench. And honestly, as depressing and sad as it may be, once Cespedes comes back and Duda comes back, you're probably going to see Conforto back in the bench again, just because they like having those veteran guys. Now, Conforto's making it about as difficult as possible to put him on the bench, but that's just the type of guy he is. He had a little bit of a down year last year. There were some rumors that he had maybe had an injured wrist or something like that. So, certain things that maybe just played into it. But he's hitting the heck out of the ball, and again, he did it tonight. Like you said, second leadoff home run in the last 3 games. When the Mets players in the leadoff spot before him had been, I forget if it was like 2 for whatever the season is, because it's not. Reyes and Curtis Granderson had not been able to get on when they batting leadoff. So kudos to Terry Collins for even thinking of putting Michael Conforto in the leadoff spot. A lot of us wouldn't have thought of doing that, but it's worked out. Let's see if he sticks with it through Tuesday, through Wednesday, because the kid, like you said, he should be playing.
Now, we got a couple comments. Well, first off, hi to Al, Red Sox fan. But the Denning comments saying, agree, Conforto seems to be a revelation. Might end up being Mets' best player in 17. His defense has been just as good as his offense. The Denning, I won't go that far. I don't think JT will go that far. Cespedes is still the best player on this team. But I saw Conforto in Brooklyn covering Staten Island for Ink Square a couple of years ago, and best player I ever covered. I mean, the kid can play offense, he's improving by defense every game. I think he's definitely the real deal, and he's not Cespedes yet. He doesn't have the fear factor that Cespedes does, but in time, I think he will get there. It might take a little while, but hold the horses on that, but I kind of agree. And looking at this game, JT, I think the turning point for me after the 3rd inning, I thought when Max Scherzer is right before the 4th, ESPN catches him yelling at himself, saying something behind the mound. And when watching Max a lot, like I have been for the last couple of years, it's been simply when you see him yell at himself and start stalking the mound and start looking like he's going to go after somebody, look out. And that was probably something people are used to seeing in this division, because it's just simple. Scherzer just hasn't really lost in this division since he's gotten here.
Yeah, and I mean, you kind of expect that going into the game. Frankly, getting those 3 runs off of him, everybody automatically assumed they're like, all right, the Mets are going to lose 4-3. Like, that's just what's going to happen, because getting 3 runs. Well, first of all, it was kind of funny because earlier in the day when the lineup was put out, no Cespedes. Everybody knows Cabrera's banged up. Lagares was in there. Plowecki was in there today. The Rising Apple mentions just filled up with people talking about another no-hitter. Everybody's like, oh, Max Scherzer is going to throw another no-hitter again. There goes another no-hitter. Because just based on what happened, in 2015, you have that memory that Scherzer, of what Scherzer is capable of doing. He's an absolute beast. And every time the Mets have faced him, he's absolutely dominated. So getting those 3 runs, it's just like, man, like that was just such a struggle. And then when Zimmerman hit that 2-run home run, so I tweeted out, I'm like, that feels like a 7-run home run, because it just completely deflates you. The offense has been bad, and at the same time, you're playing a team that's just completely on a steamroll. That a 3-run deficit feels like 10 runs. Like, it just feels completely insurmountable. And that's been the theme this whole weekend. But again, kudos to Scherzer. He's continued to battle, and the Mets hopefully can be able to figure him out at some point throughout the season, because you can't just keep trying to just put up 2 or 3 runs against this Nationals team. You're going to have to put up more runs in order to beat them.
Yeah, Zimmerman's absolutely locked in right now. I mean, he won't hit 4th for long. I think Dusty's put him there just simply while Trey Turner is still coming back from that hamstring problem, so the lefties aren't bunched up. But he's locked in right now. I think he has 9 RBIs in his last 5 games. Crushed that ball for Smoker, who looked pretty. I think he had some good moments in the series, but I think I've found the solution, JT, and I'll write Terry Collins this. Just pitch Jerry Blevins every single time against Bryce Harper.
Right.
Because it seems like the only guy on the Mets that has the formula to get Harper. Now, Wheeler did pretty well a couple of times, and I think DeGrom did as well. You have to use Blevins, because Blevins has the ability to off-speed Harper and Murphy, sort of slow the bat down. And other than that, it was kind of surprising to see Harvey sort of alter the approach that got on Friday from a 1 for 26 he's throwing pitches right over the heart of the plate to him. You can't do that.
Yeah, no, you can't do that. And Bryce Harper absolutely crushed that ball. Like that was probably one of the hardest hit balls I think I've seen off Matt in a very long time. And it was just absolutely destroyed. And well, that's what happens when you give a meatball like that. But you're 100% right. A guy like Harper, a guy like Murphy, you need to be able to. You can't. These guys are going to make you pay. Like that's just. It's the logic of baseball. That's what happens. These guys get paid to hit and clever the ball. So if you're going to be trying to groove in a fastball and trying to get acute with it, they're going to make you pay for it. That's just what happens.
What do you see, JT, when you watch this, after watching this Nats team the last 3 days, maybe that the Nats fan doesn't see? What's your outsider's opinion on what you like about this team?
They're just absolutely steamrolling right now. I mean, that they're every single player on that in the lineup just can do so much damage. That's what it feels like. I mean, maybe it's just a little bit more, not necessarily this year, but just for the last couple of years, just everything bunched up. And we would kill to have an offense like that, I think, at this point, an offense that can actually score runs. So that might be something that you never get a chance to see from an outsider's perspective, specifically about your team. But that lineup is just absolutely loaded. And of course, Murphy is just appreciate Murphy. That's all I got to say, because I mean, the Mets Twitter environment just absolutely explodes anytime Murphy does something against the Nationals. You have your diehard Murphy fans who are still Daniel Murphy fans, even though he's a National. Mm-hmm. There are the people who, like me, think nobody could have expected Daniel Murphy doing this. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, congratulations. Like, you're a good player. I'm not gonna hate you for it. But at the same time, I understand why the Mets didn't re-sign him. And then you have like the people that absolutely just despise Daniel Murphy. Like, so you have these three camps, and every single time he does something, it's just absolute mayhem in Mets Twitter. So value Daniel Murphy because he's playing like freaking Ted Williams right now, and it's just absolutely crazy. It's probably one of the craziest things I think I've ever seen. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm glad he only has one more year left in his contract after this year, because hopefully there's no team options or anything like that, right?
No. As far as I know, there.
Oh, thank God. hopefully he signs for like $80 million in like Oakland or something. I don't care. But
no, but I think I mean, I'm in New York. I'm watching Murphy as long as I have. I never expected this either. I mean, he's just become more of a professional hitter. He doesn't have as many lapses in the field as he used to. He still has his occasional crazy moments, but not as many.
He was always a good contact hitter. He always hit for average. I think what's just been absolutely shocking was the power. He did it in the 2015 postseason. Everybody knows what he did, and it was just incredible. But at the same time, you kind of just felt at that specific time that it was a freak occurrence. And he turned that and kept it just going. And over last year and early this year, he's just bringing he's kept that same exact formula. And the most frustrating thing about it too is that Kevin Long was the one that really taught him. Everybody talks about how Kevin Long helped them be able to like pull a little bit more going into that 2015 postseason. But the best hitter that Kevin Long has taught left, and everybody else has stayed behind. And it's just it's if you can't laugh about it, you'll cry about it. So you got to just laugh about it a little bit.
I left out this question earlier. Whose place should Conforto take in the lineup when everybody's back? My answer to that, I don't know if your answer is the same, JT, but in a perfect world, as much as he, I think, had a decent series this weekend, it's Curtis Granderson.
100%. Yep, it's Curtis Granderson. Yep, he is a notorious slow starter, so he's going to heat up eventually. But at this point in time, Michael Conforto is a better hitter. So Terry Collins has had a philosophy over the last couple of years that you play your best hitters, except when it comes to Michael Conforto for some reason. So he definitely would be my pick. I would have, if everybody comes back healthy, I would have an outfield lineup of Cespedes, Conforto in center, and Jay Bruce in right.
I was gonna say I'll get my thoughts on the ninth inning for the Nats in a minute. I know it's a big topic of conversation, but I want to wrap it up with you, JT, for 1 second. When you look at the Braves coming up with you got Dickey and Cologne coming to Citi Field. That should be fun the next couple of days. I want to. Are the Braves sort of the perfect elixir for the Mets right now, having lost 6 straight before New York comes back to Nats Park this weekend?
You would think they would be, right? But the way this team has been hitting, nobody's a perfect elixir for this team. I thought playing the Phillies was going to be the perfect elixir for this team before coming into we swept them in Philadelphia. So the logical thing would be that we could at least win 2 out of 3 with them coming into Citi Field. So the Braves are a young team. They have, as I'm sure you guys played the Braves already this year?
We actually were at SunTrust Park last week. Nice park, but the right field kind of blends in. But I think it's a hitter-friendly ballpark.
Or something, right? That I've seen it's like in right center, if I'm not mistaken. It's kind of like weird.
Yeah, the announcers on MASN said basically in the summer the ball will fly in that ballpark.
Okay, cool. So so it'll be more of a hitter's park than a pitcher's park, they think?
Yeah, I would say so. And I would say in that Braves series, their offense is there. I just don't feel with the Braves that they have the ace to contend, and I think that's really going to be their problem. Yeah. Teran's not an ace, and I don't know what Fulton Ewitz is yet, and Dickey, Cologne, and Garcia are placeholders.
Yeah, but and again, it looks going back to how the Mets are unable to hit guys. Teran looked like an ace on opening day against the Mets.
He always does though against the Mets, to be fair.
Exactly right. So it's one of those things that you would think it would be a good matchup. Dickey, I don't know what to expect. Cologne, if I'm not mistaken, he only allowed 1 run over 7 innings. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember the exact numbers, but he also looked really good when he pitched on that opening series. So there's not really this team can beat any team, but they can also lose against the worst teams. So it's just a matter of at this point hoping that everybody's able to get healthy. The off day tomorrow, I think, is going to be great for the guys to just be able to not have to think about anything baseball related for maybe a day or whatnot. Give Cespedes another day. He supposedly is going to be starting on Tuesday. So we'll see how it goes. But I'll let you know if it's a perfect elixir after the series is done on Thursday.
All right. So before I let you go, JT, tell listeners how they can follow you on Twitter, Rising Apple on Twitter, and what you guys have going on.
Yes, so we are at Rising Apple Blog on Twitter. You can follow me at JT_Teran. And we are, we're trying to do a bunch of different things this upcoming season, just with different players and stuff like that. We have an interview I did with Noah Syndergaard the week of opening day that's still pretty popular. That was a really good time. So we're going to be doing a couple of different things throughout the season, and hopefully it'll be much better in a winning atmosphere, because it's always a lot more fun to do stuff when the team is winning. Everybody's in a better mood anyways. So
I would say to any Met fan listening, don't give up yet. Don't get mad about 3 games. It's only 3 games. There's still 16 more between these 2 teams, and I guarantee there'll be a lot more excitement as the year goes on. I think this weekend was exciting to a degree, so we'll see what happens. JT, again, always a pleasure. Thanks for being a good sport and hopping on, and we'll talk again real soon.
Thank you, Ricky. Thank you for the invite. Say what's up to I forget what the other guy's name is. Your co-editor.
I'll say hi to Ron for you. He'll be on Twitter this weekend with me, so we'll have some more fun.
Good deal, brother. Thank you so much for the invite. Take care.
You too. All right, so let me get into the 9th inning a little bit, and I thought that was interesting with Oliver Perez gets called to start the 9th inning against Jay Bruce, which is an interesting decision because Bruce has bad numbers against Perez. Bruce gets the base hit. Dusty goes to Dakota Glover, and I thought Glover had some nasty movement on his pitches tonight. Neil Walker and Curtis Granderson gave him hard at bats, but I think you're learning a little bit more about Glover as this goes on. Back-to-back saves. I think he's starting to gain trust as he gets more out. Because it was kind of surprising to see Glover back-to-back, because you would think Sean Kelly would get that spot after getting 2 saves in Atlanta. 2 saves in Atlanta. So it was a little bit surprising to see Glover go back-to-back, but you like it. I thought he did a nice job, and he avoided Cespedes coming to the plate, which was really important. But when you get 8 innings from Max Scherzer, you take it. You look at Scherzer's line on the night: 8 innings, 3 runs, 5 hits, 9 strikeouts, 1 walk, 110 pitches, 77 strikes. Glover goes 12 strikes and 17 pitches And I'll repeat it. I think Zach Wheeler was good tonight. I do. I think when you watch Wheeler, and I even said this about Friday, I think Matt Harvey, he's not quite all the way back, but I think he's got sort of the gamer mentality back in him. On the other hand, Ryan Zimmerman, locked in. I know Dusty's going to fix that lineup, like I said earlier. Another home run tonight, crushed it in the second deck and left. He's getting great swings. Right now, he's had the best April of his career. He passed Gary Carter on the Expos all-time Nats Expos home run list, which congrats to him. Congrats to Bryce Harper. I think he's now top 20 on the hits list in franchise history as well. And that middle of the order is as good as they come when all three are locked in. So props to those guys. Nats get a big sweep. They're now 13-5. And they're going to need it going out to Colorado because the Rockies, they just swept the Giants for the first time in 15 years. They're 13-6. So you're looking at arguably the teams with the two best records in the National League right now going at it for 4 games. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Looking at that pitching matchup, we'll do that in a second. Let's look around the league, at least around the division. Phillies beat the Braves 5-2. So you mentioned the Braves have lost 6 straight. Phillies with a nice sweep of Atlanta. They had the walk-off at Maikel Franco last night. So a big win for Philadelphia. Miami wins the last 2 games in San Diego. They win 7-3 over the Padres. So let's look at the tomorrow's pitching matchup. It's an 8:40 Eastern first pitch time. You can catch it on Masson 2, 106.7 The Fan has it. Root Sports in Colorado has it. Tyler Anderson is going to start for the Rockies. Anderson 1-3 with a 7.32 ERA, and the Nats have to be determined. Here's the reason why it's to be determined in case you missed it earlier today. And I also have belated congratulations in order. Steven Strasburg and his wife are going to have their second child. So congratulations to them. But Steven Strasburg is on paternity leave. He will be on paternity leave. So that he will not be pitching in this series. Which means everybody is going to be right now the question is who will start tomorrow. Dusty, I don't think, has made that announcement known yet. So I think looking at it, my guess, and Dusty kind of hinted at this earlier, and Dusty actually just said a little while ago, Jacob Turner is going to make his Nats debut tomorrow night. He's already in Denver, according to Mark Zuckerman of Madison. Dusty just said this about a few minutes ago. So Jacob Turner gets this start against Tyler Anderson. So probably not the greatest pitching matchup in the world, but I think Dusty has a good point. I don't think you're ready yet. Eric Fetty's not ready yet. He's good as he's looked in Double-A. I don't think Austin Voth is there yet. He just pitched a couple days ago. AJ Cole just pitched today. So Turner makes the most sense. He hasn't pitched in a while. So it makes sense to give him the ball. Turner 12-27 in his 5-year career with the Tigers, Marlins, Cubs, and White Sox last season. I don't know what to make in this game. I'm expecting a lot of runs. I'm expecting a lot of runs in total in this series because I think you love when you see Coors Field, and weather should be okay. I think it's supposed to be rain on Tuesday, but besides that, I think you got a good ballpark there. Anderson is a rookie, not a rookie, but a left-handed starter. He has not gone past the 6th inning in any of his starts. And he has a lot of fly ball outs. Last start against the Dodgers, 5 innings, 2 earned runs, 6 hits. He's given up 5 home runs in 4 starts. So this is the kind of guy I think the Nationals want to see, especially heading into Colorado. Maybe they'll be a little tired with the bats. But Anderson is not exactly the dominant player. It looks like it's possible the Rockies could also throw one of their top pitching prospects on Tuesday. I love their team right now. If their pitching can hold up, and John Gray's hurt right now, Ian Desmond is working his way back offensively. But when you got Cargo and Blackman and Arenado and LeMahieu and Dahl, that lineup can hit. And it's no surprise. Look, the Rockies just swept the Giants. I know the Giants are bad, and Madison Bumgarner got hurt on a dirt bike. But Bud Black has had this team playing well. There's a lot of storylines here. You got Bud Black, who was spurned by the Nats, managing against them for the first time. You got LeMahieu and Murphy, the batting leaders last year. You have Greg Holland, who, of course, Nat fans, there are some who wanted Greg Holland to be the closer. He's pitched so well for Colorado right now. You're going to get a chance to see him over the next couple of days. I think this is a test for Colorado, and I want to see the Nats sort of go in there. You don't have to win 4 straight. They're already 6-0 in the road trip. If you get out of there with a split, I think you're happy. You're 8-2 and you roll with it and you go back home. But all in all, a good thing for the Nationals against the New York Mets. They get the sweep. I thought it was a good series overall. I wasn't here with you Saturday. Ron was, and I liked the way that the Nats battled against DeGrom. Gio was good again yesterday. I wrote about that for District on Deck. So all in all, good performances for the Nationals. Let me check if we have any comments in the Twitter room. Again, thanks for JT for coming on. Great sport. Any comments here in the YouTube chat? So we got a couple here. What type of pitcher is Turner? And I think the Denning is right. You don't want to mess with any of these guys. Turner has pitched at Coors Field before. He had a decent start, I think, there as well, from when I looked earlier today. So Turner's the kind of guy, he's not going to blow you away with his fastball. Former first-round draft pick, so he has some talent. But Al, I'm not really expecting much from Turner tomorrow night. If he can give you 5 innings, I think the most important thing was Scherzer gave you 8. So you have Trinan, you have Kelly, you have Blanton, you have Romero, you have Albers. Everybody's almost ready to go. This was a perfect night for the Nationals in that their bullpen is lined up for tomorrow. They were going to need the extra pitcher, I think, anyway. So Turner makes the most sense. As I said earlier, I don't think Fetty's ready. As much as I love what he's done in Double-A so far, and I've watched some of those games, his slider's been absolutely dominant. Well, not his slider, his breaking ball's been dominant. But I think that's the right call. And as the Denning said, that's definitely and he's right. Colorado's could be a threat if they make it to the postseason. Trevor Story, I think they had a grand slam and inside the park homer in the same inning too, against the Giants. So let me take a look at what's going on in the minor leagues before we end the show. Syracuse with an 8-2 win over Norfolk today. AJ Cole, 5 innings pitched, 2 runs, 5 hits, struck out 5. Couple RBIs for Caleb Joseph. Brandon Snyder's up to 13 RBIs, 3 hits for Rafael Bautista. So the Chiefs now at 8-7. Harrisburg's at 9-7. They beat Bowie 2-1. RBIs from Rowdy Reed and Spencer Keyboom. John Sims gets the win. 5 innings, 1 run, 5 hits, struck out 7. Ryan Brindley and Phillips Valdez throw the last 4 innings of shutout ball. Valdez gets the save. Harrisburg's 9-7. Potomac with a rally late in Lynchburg. They win 4-3 over the Hillcats. Ian Sagdahl, his 3rd home run of the season. He's got 8 RBIs. And how about the relief outing from Matthew Crownover? 3 1/3 perfect innings, 5 strikeouts. He's got a .68 ERA out of the bullpen and 29 of 37 pitches for strikes. Really strong game for Crownover. Potomac gets the win. They're 9-7. And how about Hagerstown today in a doubleheader? And I think tonight's player of the game, Blake Perkins. Now, for those not familiar with Blake Perkins, 2nd-round pick in 2015, along with Andrew Stevenson, switch hitter, top of the order guy. Hits a walk-off home run in Game 1 of the doubleheader against Delmarva, and then a walk-off single in Game 2. As good a day as you could possibly have, Blake Perkins had it. So the Nats get Hagerstown won Game 1, 4-1 on the walk-off home run by Perkins. He had a couple hits as well. Juan Soto went 2 for 3 in this game. Mick Van Vossen got the win. Tyler Watson struck out 7 in 5 innings. Remember, they played 7-inning games and doubleheaders. And then the Suns won 5, 4, and 10 in Game 2. Angelo LaBruna went 3 for 4 at the plate. Aldrem Corridor had a home run. Carter Keyboom, the game-tying homer in the bottom of the 8th, to even get it to Perkins. Kyle Simmons, the win. 2 innings in relief, struck out 4. So basically, it was a happy day. All the Nats affiliates won. The major league teams, minor league teams, everybody won. Great day going on. And also, Denning wants an update on Victor Robles. He's on the disabled list, actually, in Potomac. That kind of went under the radar a little bit. I was kind of surprised seeing it the other day. Remember, he got hit by a pitch, but then he came back. So he's on the DL at the moment. I don't have any specifics on that, but it'll be interesting to see. Because Robles, I would love to. I think he's got the tools. He was good in Potomac before the injury when he gets hit by pitches a lot. But talking with Trip Keister in the offseason, he's a guy that absolutely is must watch, and I can't wait. Fortunately, I'm in New York. I don't get to watch Victor Robles because they're not MLB.TV. But I can't wait till he gets to Double-A and a chance to watch him because this kid can absolutely play. So hopefully he gets back soon. But a good day overall. So again, we want to tell you to follow Rocks Pile, which is our Rockies fan-sided site. Also, congrats to the Washington Capitals. Nice overtime win over the Maple Leafs. They're going to take on the Penguins. So if you want all your Ovechkin Crosby coverage, go to Stars and Sticks, Caps fan-sided site. Also, Wizards in action tomorrow night against Atlanta. So Wizaball is the place you go for that. Again, I want to thank all you guys for tuning in. We had a lot of listeners to the show tonight, so definitely appreciate that. JT as well, great sport. Follow Rising Apples. Good things. We're going to do another interactive post-game show. I was on Mets Musings last week, so I'm going to return the favor, have the host of that show come on Friday with me. Looks like DeGrom's going to go again for the Mets at Nats Park Friday night, so we'll have some more fun with Gary. And we're looking to do more of these post-game shows, not just because the Nats win when we do these combo post-games, which is obviously if you're a Nats fan, you want the team to win as much as possible. But we like to get you to hear the other side of what's going on in the game and sort of talk about it from two different sides, because each of us have different opinions on watching a game. We're not going to do it for this series just because the games end so late here in Colorado. Well, end in Colorado, they end like midnight here. If we do, we'll let you know, but it doesn't sound like we're doing that right now. But we got a reaction to this game and the series coming up tomorrow night, tomorrow morning on the show. Ron's got you set for the Rockies with his 5 players to watch. And one of our viewers, Frank, has an update on Juan Soto coming out tomorrow. Soto's absolutely great in Hagerstown, hitting over 400. So let me look and see if we got any questions. Thank you guys for tuning in. Al asked what I think of the Pedroia play. I thought that was terrible for Matt Barnes to throw it, and even Pedroia said it was fine. No need for throwing at people's heads. I'll just say that. Good series, though. Red Sox-Yankees coming up. That's like the Ricky versus Ron rivalry thing going. But thank you guys for tuning in. Ron will be with you on Monday for Jacob Turner and Tyler Anderson is your matchup tomorrow night from Coors Field. He'll do the tweeting and the post game. I'll be back with you on Tuesday, which right now looks like Joe Ross will start from the Nationals on Tuesday night. So until then, thanks for tuning in. Nats get the sweep. Nice 6-3 win over the Mets. They're 13-5 and everything going pretty well in DC right now. So until then, have a good night and good rest of your morning. We'll see you back here late Monday night, early Tuesday morning for the Nats Rockies post-game show. Till then, have a good day, everybody.